Now, the French Prime Minister François Bayrou is threatening to cancel a long-standing agreement with its former colony Algeria on free movement. Now, it comes amid a row after a deadly knife attack here in France last week, in which the main suspect is a man of Algerian origin. Now, before he allegedly carried out that attack, France had repeatedly tried to expel him, but Algeria had refused to take him back. The row just the latest in a series of disputes that has heightened tensions. Well, let's talk about it now with our international affairs editor, Philip Turle, who's with me here on set. Philip, the threat comes, doesn't it, amid a widening, a worsening of relations between the two countries. What's going on?
Right, well, from the French perspective, Stuart, there's growing irritation on the part of Paris to the way France is being pointed at as being the root of all Algeria's problems, and all this dating back to the colonial era, which ended in 1962. France says that Algeria's leaders are blaming France for problems that were nothing to do with this country. And they are also refusing to take back Algerian nationals who have committed crimes on French soil. First of all, the one we were just mentioning who committed this killing in Mulhouse and has been attempted to be deported 14 times with no luck. And then another one, an influencer who was put on a plane, sent back, and then sent back immediately to France after the authorities there refused to let him into the country. And also the jailing of an author, Boualem Sansel, a Franco-Algerian author, which France has asked for him to be released. So far, no sign of that happening. On the Algerian perspective, this is all much more profoundly linked to France's recognition of the fact that the Western Sahara should belong to Morocco, which is something which is an anathema for the Algerians. The Algerians support the Polisario Front, which is calling for independence for the Western Sahara, has been doing so since 1973. And the Algerians have basically said that France has no right and should not be supporting Rabat, the Moroccans, in their claim to take control of the Western Sahara. That is really where the bone of contention lies in this current standoff. And for the moment, it doesn't look as though there's any short-term solution on the horizon.
So what is this 1968 pact then between France and Algeria?
Well, France has the most Algerian nationals on its soil of any other country, basically because back in the early 1960s when when Algeria gained independence from France in 1962 with the Evian Accords, France needed a workforce. So it facilitated the way that those Algerian workers could come to France with this accord, which was signed in December 1968, which facilitated travel, arrival and employment for Algerian workers in France. For example, if you're Algerian, you only have to wait 3 years to get a permanent residency certificate, whereas if you're another national outside the European Union, then you have to wait 5 years. And there are vast numbers of companies also based in Morocco which employ vast numbers of Moroccans. 450 French companies, based in Algeria, who employ 100,000 or so people. So there is a lot of worry on both sides that if this agreement was to disappear, it could handicap the exchange of free movement between the two countries. François Bayrou, the Prime Minister, as you were just mentioning, has said that what Algeria is doing right now and refusing to take back these criminals to their own soil is totally unacceptable. And he said, well, if nothing is going to change, then within 3 or 4 months, we could change that agreement. That's also been echoed by the Interior Minister, Bruno Retailleau, who is also very up in arms against the Algerian authorities, saying this is totally unacceptable behaviour, and basically it's a portrayal of the relationship between Algeria and France.
What about the reaction then from Algiers?
Well, an Algerian reaction has been pretty virulent as well, because earlier this week, the head of the French Senate, Gérard Larcher, the president of the French Senate, who's the number 2 leader here in France after Emmanuel Macron, went to the Western Sahara for a visit. That has been denounced by the Algerian Senate equivalent, which is called the Council of the Nation, with this quote: "This is an irresponsible visit which is both provocative and also ostentatious. We're immediately suspending relations with the Senate of the French Republic." So this has made the relationship even more difficult right now. I think probably the best way to sum all this up, Stuart, is that It's a glacial relationship. There doesn't seem to be much sign of any thawing coming along any time now, and that has added a lot of stress to the Algerian population living here in France, many of who have said that they are both dismayed and concerned about the situation and the relationship between France and Algeria. They're calling for dialogue between the two countries. But for the moment, that dialogue appears pretty far off. And as far as the French authorities are concerned, there is a big discussion going on now as to whether or not to bridge that accord. It would have to be Emmanuel Macron who makes the final decision as to whether or not that is going to take place.
We shall continue to follow it here on France 24. Philip, thanks very much. Philip Turle, International Affairs Editor on France 24 for you.